Hi, Capricorn. It's Angela. Happy December. I'm sorry it's so late into the month. Here I was thinking I was going to be able to pull off 2 rounds of readings, like, for the new year, but I might have to push that to January. Super busy time for me. Um, it's good to see you here. This is a soul guidance reading for Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Rising, and or anyone who really feels drawn to this video, wherever you have Capricorn in your chart, or if you're around Capricorn energy a lot, any kind of, I'm just drawing in the energy of Cap now. And this guidance really can be evergreen. It can be received at any time when it's feeling aligned and feeling right for you. So let's just take a path through forgiveness. So this is a big one. We get to the little caption underneath says compassion and kindness. And I know we have heard, forgive them. What we take it as usually is the mental processing of that is that somebody did something that harmed us, and in order to make it right, it's our job to forgive them, right? Well, we get not confused, but we get focused on sort of the act of exonerating that person. Like, what you did still is hurtful, but the forgiveness isn't happening so that I can tell you it's okay that you did that and you can just do it again if you need to. The forgiveness comes from within your own being, and to be able to release that harm, that feeling of I've been harmed by this person. It's being able to release that from your own heart, release that burden of how that made you feel from your own heart and soul, so that you can move freely forward instead of being held down or burdened by that feeling. So we're going to see what the Zen cards say on forgiveness and a possible path toward it, into it. Okay, let's see what your Zen cards are, Capricorn. This is a tree spread that sort of a spread I made up. We start here on these branches, and then we pivot with the trunk, with the bottom of the tree, in order to accelerate our growth and come to another higher elevated way of moving forward in this topic, which is forgiveness. Okay, so your starting point, Capricorn, is mind. Yeah, this is what I was saying earlier. Like, in our minds, somebody did something to us, and it's our job to say, I forgive you, and release them, and that's the way we think of it, right? But this is more of a feeling endeavor. This is more of a releasing of energy and layers of energy that may have piled up onto our hearts. So this mental energy, some of you could find yourselves feeling quite cluttered in your mind space, and maybe focusing more on the act, what was done, what that person may have done to harm us, and how could they have done it, and what were they thinking, and make sure they don't, instead of focusing on that act, what we want to do is release some of that mental energy and move into embracing it in our being and feeling it through, and then allowing it to release from our experience, so that we can get a clean start. We can clear ourselves of that energy. So this is a pretty telling way to start this reading with the topic of forgiveness. Usually we start to wrestle with it in our mind. Within us and supporting that mental energy is another mental card, and we got postponement. So this is indicating perhaps within you, that clearing yourself of this feeling or this burden of unforgiveness, clearing yourself of it is, you're not there yet, but maybe you do know that the way you've been going about it, up until now, up until this point in your life, has really prolonged it. It has like let's just say, someone has harmed me, someone has betrayed me or hurt my heart. And by gripping onto the focus, gripping your focus onto that act, that thing they did, that experience you had, and sticking there, they did this and it really hurt. And how could they have done that? And that kind of mental chatter around the situation it feels like we're working it through, and it feels like we're hammering away at it and going to make it better by wrestling with it mentally. But what it's really doing is it's prolonging that pain. It's prolonging that burden, that forgiveness, that unforgiveness brings about onto our hearts. And then we have a clogged up alignment. Our being isn't free to, first of all, trust again. I don't know. It depends on what kind of situation you're thinking of, but that is something to work through. And really what it takes is feeling into it. Okay, let's move on. Let's see what else we got. So we have the mental clutter, the mental swarming of our thoughts onto this topic. But within us, we get a sense that it's actually keeping it in our experience longer than it needs to be. And within us, we're starting to realize that as, seekers and enlightened beings, we realize that everything we do is a choice. And by choosing to grip onto this thing that was done, and gripping onto the unforgiveness, we're actually keeping it in our experience. And we're starting to see that. In our external world, this realization, look at that. Look what it results in: isolation. So the more we ponder, the more we pound down on, they did this, they shouldn't have done it, I'm going to tell my friends, I'm going to tell all the people around me, look what they did, this is really bad, all of that, your energy being put toward sort of locking into the experience that you had, the action that was taken to harm you. If you're locking into it, it's actually holding you in place and keeping you from being open and connecting with others. I got 3 mental cards in a row, 3, what we call the cloud suit in the Zen deck. And this is your starting point. This row on this branch of the tree spread is where you are now, or where you would be post some experience that creates a sense of unforgiveness in you, right? This doesn't have to be, this is happening in this moment. This is a template for when that occurs. Let's assess, how much are we gripping? How much am I gripping onto the fact that this was done to me, and speaking of it again and communicating about it and thinking about it over and over in my mind? How much am I doing that? Because what that will eventually create is cutting you off from your true life experience, which, if we were able to release this burden of unforgiveness, there's more freedom. Things get looser. We're not so locked into only thoughts and words about it. So that isolation card is that's very telling. And that this whole spread started out with mental energy, because that's what we do with unforgiveness. Is we chatter about it. We tell our friends, can you believe they did this? And we keep it in our experience by communicating about it. Okay, so now we get to see how we're going to pivot away from this. How can we elevate this? How can we rise to a higher perspective using our higher self to move ourselves through the state of unforgiveness? And that card is this pivot, and we got integration. So excuse me, this is really telling. This is kind of calling for you to remember what was done and what hurt us, but also to include in that experience your own personal trajectory, to a higher level of awareness and, embodying some of the stuff that you've learned on your, as your soul is seeking higher perceptions, remembering that, in the past, you had less knowledge about your own self and what was right for you. And now the more you move through your life, you know more and more about what's right for you and what you can release and what you can't. And one of the most important things is you can continue to have with you the knowledge that your choices are creating your life. Your thoughts and the choices and the decisions you make are creating your entire life experience. Like we have said many times on this channel before, things happen to us all the time, but that's what life is. It's a series of things coming at us and happening. And some of them are pleasurable and some of them we want to embrace and some of them we want to repel. But the trick there is to allow it all to be there. And yeah, we have hard things coming, but how can I work around this to shorten its duration, this hard thing that entered my life? What can I move? What direction can I move in order to sort of wash it away? And that's what we want to do with the unforgiveness, is take all we've learned, take all we know, use our inner being and our outer self as well, our ego and persona, use it all to come up with a creative way for us to work on releasing the unforgiveness from our own soul. It will be and feel different for all of us because we all have a unique set of life circumstances and path that we've taken so far, and situations that we've endured, and experiences that we've embraced. Every one of us has like our own unique formula for finding our way through to these next levels. So I love that integration card in that position because it allows us to realize it's on us. This is our work, right? And yeah, someone did something crappy to us, but spinning our wheels by, focusing on that thing they did over and over keeps us right here in this level. We don't get to move forward. So integration card, key to moving forward. And now we're at this sort of elevated awareness about it. And look where we land. Receptivity. Here come the feelings. Here come the emotions. This card is a water card. This represents our feelings and the way we sense, experiences and feeling our way through. So I love that because we went from the mind to the feelings, and that's what we want, right? We want to be able to embrace all of our experiences, even if they're crappy ones, even if someone did something, awful to us or whatever. It's happened to all of us. But locking in on that action takes you nowhere, but actually makes the energy of that bigger, right? So being willing to be open, okay, this happened. Perhaps that person had something going on that caused that, they have their own, right? We talked about it. They have their own little unique world and how they deal with their lives and how they choose to step forward on their path. And yours is yours. And being open and having an open heart helps us bring forgiveness about much more quickly, compassion and kindness. And if you think about it, this process is exercising compassion and kindness to ourselves, to our own heart, our own being. The kindness doesn't have to be in, oh yeah, you did this horrible thing, person X, and now I'm going to be kind and forgive you. That's not what we're talking about at all, right? The thing was done. We were harmed. Now the work begins. What do we do with that harmful feeling? How do we, move through this? And that receptivity, I love this because this allows you to stay open with an open heart to come up with some solutions or some realizations that allow us to remove the burden of unforgiveness from our heart. The internal card that's here with the receptivity is the creator. And this is perfect because this is where we're headed. So within you, you're knowing that like we said before, the choices you make, the decisions you make, the thoughts you have, the way that you either let thoughts flow in and out of your experience, or you act as sort of like you capture some of them and hold on to them and ruminate and let them go over and over and churn those thoughts, that same thought out, right? That you're creating that experience. So if that sort of repetitive thoughts that go on in your mind, and that, you know, you're not allowing to flow in and out of your experience, but you're hanging on to some, you've chosen that. And so when it gets big and uncomfortable, and when those thoughts are like repetitive and, oh my gosh, make it stop, you can choose, you know, another way out. Now, this is not, this is all very general. And, you know, when we're talking about energy, it is unique to everyone, right? This is a very general process through what I think is a really important factor of our mental health, which is, you know, change your thoughts, change your life kind of thing. You know, what you focus on, you feed. A lot of times we've taken ourselves so far down that path that just being able to be general about it and see, you can kind of get this concept. But if you're in an acute situation where these thoughts are overwhelming and they're so repetitive, and it's not, you know, it's turning into the point of anxiety or you know, maybe even panic attacks, that's a different animal. That is for you to speak with a professional and get some help. Once you can clear some of those top layers of what's going on, because things have piled up, you can work on some of this, a spiritual path toward freedom from those repetitive thoughts. You could work on a spiritual path, you know, concurrently, but this is not the sole solution, right? I guess is what I'm trying to say. Utilize all that you have around you, any experts or you know, friends or you know, elders who have been through it, and you can look to for counsel. So it's a path through to forgiveness, but it's not like you're just going to go, oh, okay, I'm going to stay open, I'm going to take the thoughts from my mind and be open with my heart, and now I'm forgiven. That it's not that quick, it's not that easy. There's a, you know, it's almost like a big pot of stew. There's a whole bunch of things that can go into that process and that progress. But for you, and as it pertains to this reading and my little corner of the world with guidance, you know, that receptivity is important, because it allows you to, first of all, even just the point of knowledge that we're creating our experience in every step. That's, for some people, that is something that they have to open up to. That's why this is kind of in the internal, because this is within you, having this realization that if all my choices are leading me into this experience I'm having, you know, that's kind of hard sometimes, because our ego wants to say, I didn't do anything wrong. And, you know, it's not my, it's all, everything that happened, I couldn't help it. Right. But where our creation and our control comes in is in how we respond to any life event, you know, something that's easy and positive or something that's difficult and challenging. How are we responding? How are we showing up to that? And that's what we mean by creating your experience. You're creating the quality of the outcome. And then the final card and the top of the reading here is, I love this, I got the Fool. So we started with unforgiveness and trying to find a way to release that from our experience. We started out with our all the mental stuff that, you know, as human beings, we tend to go to first. And then we realize we've got to include everything. We've got to include the way we feel. We have to include the way we would have done it in the past. We have to include our inner being and our external circumstances. So integrating and kind of like big picturing the scenario, and then the elevated work begins. We stay open-hearted, we receive information, we receive, you know, we even stay willing to make a shift and make a change and remove the unforgiveness from our heart, whether or not it's going to happen overnight, which it won't. we remain open to that path, and we realize we're creating that open sense and that feeling. And pretty soon things will be so open that they're loosening up enough within you that it will release from your heart. And then you get to start on a fresh path forward. Where do I go next? Let me continue my journey with a little bit of a lighter load, because we released the unforgiveness from our experience. Sorry. All right, so self-compassion and kindness, I think, is really the key here. All right, I'm going to pull a little bonus card for you guys and see, what little message we can use to cap off this reading. And perfectly, I got transformation. So really the work here on this channel is all about transformation. That's what we're doing. And it starts from the inside. That's why the soul guidance reading is not, it's not a psychic reading. It's not predictive or it's really tuning into your own being and how you feel, and then finding little ways to nudge and shuffle and move about and shift the way you've done things previously, so that you move toward more ease and more complete self-awareness and self-expression. I love it. All right, Capricorn, let's see. I hope that this reading was good for some of you. And if it was, leave me a comment. I wanted to share with you too. I'm going to leave a link in this video. I'm working with Maria Milano. You've seen some of our videos together. I've put them on my channel. We do a weekly intention reading. And she and I have also created a vision workshop for like creating vision boards. It's a little less than just, cut and paste. There's, a little more than that. Sorry. It's a lot more than just cut and paste what our intentions are. It's a soul journey. And I'll be there reading cards. And, it's I think a 7-session experience, with 5 of those sessions being shorter, weekly, but where you're self-paced and you can do the work on your own. And then 2 sessions where we all gather. So look for the link, because it should be a nice way to kick off 2023 as we try to move forward together in this experience. All right. Thanks, you guys. I love you.